So this video is an introduction to using Macromedia Flash, and what we're going to do with this is we're going to animate a little boat sailing across the screen. So it's not a comprehensive video about how to be an excellent artist or how to be an amazing animator. We're just taking a look at the basic tools that we can use to get to that point. So I'm starting it with Flash. Little introduction. Here we have our stage and stage right and stage left. Those actually reversed because, of course, in theater terms, stage right is the actor's right, stage left is the actor's left, but I'll just be referring to this side of the screen and this side of the screen. This is our timeline. I'll be coming back to that in a bit. This is when we start doing animation. We have our standard Windows menu up here. Our drawing tools and drawing modification tools are over here. I'll be taking a look at those. Down here we have properties, and properties are, this menu will change depending on what it is we have selected. Over here we've got various other templates, color mixers, components, inspectors, behaviors, and some of this we use, some of it we don't. So we'll be taking a look at that later. First thing we want to do is, before we continue on, is make sure you have access to these files. Hatteras, which is a little lighthouse scene, and Ocean. Ocean is a wave file. I'm going to be adding that in a little bit later. So when we get started, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to save our file even before we continue on. So I'm going to go Save As, and I have it on my desktop. I'm going to call this Boat 00. You saw I already had that file. So I'm starting out Boat 00, and I'm going to be moving on 01, 02, 03. This is called incremental saving. Now I start with a blank file, and that means I already have it saved. So if there's any problems, if the program crashes or I really mess up, I've got a backup file to work from. First thing I need to do is I'm going to draw myself a boat. So if you want to take a look, of course, at maybe what a sailboat looks like, you can certainly go on to Google and you can take a look for a boat hull or something. But I'll just be drawing a very, very rough boat. This is what we want it to look like. So first of all, I'm going to start out with the line tool. So a line, color, right here. I'm going to start off with black. So a line is just simply click, drag the mouse, just like in any other program. And you'll see I have a starting point and an ending point. I'm going to drag it up a little bit high there. And I make a nice thick line. Here's the line thickness right now. I mentioned properties. You can see in the properties right here, my thickness is 1. I have a solid line, and my color is black. You can change the thickness of your line. So for example, here's a line that has a thickness of 5. All right, but I don't need that. All right. I'm just going to stick with 1 for now. And it's solid. I can have different types of lines. Now, when we draw a line, one thing you have to remember is this is what's called a vector program. The graphics we draw are called vector graphics, and I talked about vector graphics before, vector graphics or bitmap graphics. I'll be talking about bitmap graphics a little bit later. So the neat thing about this is once I've drawn a line, I can actually go ahead and I can change the shape. If my cursor has that little icon and I click and I drag, I can change the curvature of that line. And depending on the structure of the line, I'm going to Control Z back to where I want it to go. Depending on the structure of the line and how many data points I have, I can make a lot of different shapes. Okay, so that's my line tool. I'm going to take my pencil tool and I'm going to draw the bottom hull of my boat. Now, down here I have the options for drawing. So right now my option is to straighten a line. So if I take my pencil tool and I draw, it will try and straighten it out as best it can. Not very straight, but it's okay. I prefer smooth. I'm going to draw smooth. Now, when I draw, the other thing that I find is if you start drawing with the mouse, very, very hard to get a smooth, straight line with the mouse. So you're going to have to go fairly slow. And there I can see that I've drawn my line. This is the hull of my boat. Now I want the bow of my boat to be curved, and the stern, or back of the boat, so this is the back end of the boat, this is the front end of the boat. The back end of the boat, I want it to be fairly straight. Okay, now that's a pretty rough line. I'd like to smooth that line out a bit. So what I'm going to use is what's called my sub-selection tool. This is the little white arrow here. I'm going to select this line, click on this line, and you notice it shows up as a whole bunch of points. Now, if you remember, when I show you this, when I drew the line, it shows up as 1 point and 2 points. This is called a Bezier curve, and what that means is the points on the end define the end points. The points in the middle define how much it's curved. So I can actually go back and I can change the curvature of that line. I'm just going to delete that for now. Now I'm going to zoom in a bit up here, zoom into 400%, so I make my boat bigger. And oftentimes if I want to smooth out a line, what I can do is I can select these individual points and just press the delete key. So I don't need all of these points. And you can sort of see as I'm selecting the points and deleting them, my curve starts to smooth out a bit. Like I said, what it does when you're drawing with the pencil is it samples the points. It just grabs a few points and sets them as you're drawing. And sometimes it helps if you want to smooth things out. Just go ahead and just round off. And if you play around with these, you'll notice that you can actually change how the curvature works. Now, that's kind of the long way around. We'll stick with the long way around first. So I'm just going to go delete a few of these lines. Just bear with me while I straighten everything out. So I'd like the bottom of my hull. This is a fun tool to play with if you want to get into drawing graphics, is learning how to draw Bezier curves. This isn't really the time or the place. Whoops, that was unfortunate. I just deleted my whole boat. I'm going to hit Control Z to bring that back. Remember, Control Z is your friend. That's the undo key. Okay, so again, and I did it again. So again, what I want to do, have to watch out when I'm deleting these points. So on the bottom, I'd like a nice smooth hull on the bottom, and line on the top. I could have made this out of multiple points. As a matter of fact, probably would have been easier to draw a straight line for the bottom and a curve for the front. There we go. You know what? And I just want to straighten out the back here. Okay. Now you also notice that my back end doesn't quite meet here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that end point there. I'm going to drag it around so it joins up. And I can fix my lines so that they actually join up, which is nice. Okay, so there we go. So that is, we'll just call this one Boat 00. And I'm going to go up File and Save. All right, and that's the first part of the boat. So the next part we'll do is part 01.